In this tutorial, I'll show you how to build a bouncing ball in Rive. So, let's get into it. Create a new file and choose an artboard size. Select the artboard and modify its fill in the inspector. Use the ellipse tool to create a base for the ball. Ensure that you're holding Shift to constrain the ellipse. Select the shape and change the fill type from solid to radial. Reposition the stoppers and select some colors. Add an additional fill in the inspector, and once again, adjust the stoppers and choose some colors. Use the pen tool to create a line across the ball. Then, duplicate the path layer and rotate the line to create a cross. Select the line shape, remove the fill, and add a stroke. Next, change the thickness and color, then change the blend mode from normal to multiply. Add an ellipse and position it at the top of the ball. Duplicate the ellipse and position it at the bottom of the ball. Next, drag both ellipse path layers onto the shape layer that we're using for the lines. Don't forget to delete the unused shape layers. Select the line shape layer and add clipping in the inspector. When prompted, select the ball layer as the clipping source. Change the origin of the detail shape so that the origin is in the center. To add rim lighting, duplicate the ball shape and move it to the top of the hierarchy. Next, remove the fills and add a stroke. Now, change the thickness and scale the ellipse down slightly. Change the fill from solid to linear and adjust the position of the stoppers. Customize the colors, then turn the opacity down. Add another stroke and copy the thickness from the first stroke. Then, change the color. Open the stroke options and enable trim path. Adjust the start and offset until the stroke is on top of the ball. Give the stroke rounded end caps, then change the blend mode to overlay. Create a shadow with a new ellipse. Use a radial gradient and customize the colors. Then, use the opacity to create a feathered edge. Scale down the ellipse and position it below the ball. Go back and rename your shape layers so you know which shape is what. Select all the shapes that make up the ball and create a group. Rename this group Ball. Next, create a group for the shadow. This will make it easier for us to animate because it resets the scale to 100%. Move the ball group above the shadow group in the hierarchy. This way, when we animate, the ball group appears above the shadow. Finally, select everything on the stage and create a new group called Root. This root group will allow us to change any of the transformation properties of our composition without ruining any keys that we've already set. Switch the editor to animate mode with the Tab key. Key the initial position of the ball group. Notice a key is automatically created when you transform the group. Move the playhead forward to 30F, then key the ball in the down position. Next, move the playhead to the end of the timeline, then copy and paste the first key to this location. Change the animation from one shot to loop, then preview the animation. You'll notice the movement isn't quite right, but we can fix this with easing. Select the first key and change the easing from linear to cubic. Then, drag the right handle down to create an ease-in curve. Select the second key and change the easing from linear to cubic. drag the left handle up to create an ease out curve. Preview the animation again and adjust the curves to your liking. To make this animation look even better, let's apply the squash and stretch principle. Key the initial scale of the ball group at the beginning of the timeline. Next, stretch the ball as it falls. Now squash the ball as it lands on the ground. Copy and paste the second scale key where the ball starts to rise again. Paste the first scale key to the end of the timeline. Add additional position keys to account for the squash and stretch. Finally, go back and readjust the easing for all your keys. Preview the animation and make any adjustments to the curves you feel necessary. Next, we'll animate the rotation of the lines. Go into the ball group and find the detail shape. Key the current rotation in the inspector. Rotate the shape slightly where the ball hits the ground. Now copy the rotation key and paste it where the ball begins to rise. Move the playhead to the end of the timeline and set a rotation key for 180 degrees. Once again, preview the animation and make any adjustments necessary. To finish the animation, we need to animate the shadow. Select the shadow group and key the initial scale. Increase the X scale as the ball hits the ground. Copy and paste the first scale key to the end of the timeline. Go to the start of the timeline and turn the opacity for the shadow group down. Turn the opacity back up when the ball hits the ground. Copy and paste the opacity key so that the current opacity is maintained while the ball is still on the ground. Copy and paste the first opacity key to the end of the timeline. To finish the animation, ensure the shadow group's easing matches the ball group. Preview the animation one last time and make any adjustments you feel necessary. If you're happy with everything, then the animation's finished. Feel free to share it on the community. That's it for this tutorial. We hope to see you in the next one.